Let me start with how the visa have performed in India this year, 2023.
Absolutely. We're really proud of what we've done in India this year. I think for the first time in history, we set a goal to issue 1 million visas in India. And not only did we accomplish that, but it was done several months in advance. So the number will go way beyond that. There are record setting numbers this year for workers applying in India to come to the United States, crew members, students. We've really made a huge effort to concentrate on the demand coming out of India, and we've had great results.
Anything specific you did this year to improve the number of visas?
We put a lot of our effort toward India. We specifically made sure that we saw the students who are applying coming out of India. India is now the largest source country for foreign students in the United States, as well as many other visa categories. But that's a very important one for us. We've also had a lot of cases able to be interview waived, so no interview for Indian travelers who have previously traveled and now going back to the U.S. We've opened up other embassies for Indian travelers who can't get an appointment to go if needed. That's not what we're seeking. That's not ideal, but we want to make sure that Indian travelers can have that application, and we were able to do it this year.
What are the goals you have set for 2024 for India?
We need to bring the wait time down in a few places in India. The demand is still very high, and wait times of 6, 8, 12 months are not what we need, and not indicative of how we view India. We want to make sure that Indian travelers can get appointments very quickly, as quickly as possible. One way we're doing that is through the domestic visa renewal program, which is focused very much on India.
Right.
We're piloting that. I think, as you know, this year we'll do 20,000 in the first group. The vast majority of those will be Indian nationals living in the U.S., and we will expand as it goes on. And because Indians are the largest skilled group of workers in the United States, we hope that India will benefit quite a bit from this program. And it will prevent people from having to travel back to India or anywhere for a visa appointment to get their visa renewed. And it will allow our missions in India to concentrate on new applicants.
So this domestic visa renewal program will start December, a few days from now.
That's right.
Can you walk us through how the system works? Who all can apply for this domestic visa renewal?
Yeah, so there will be a Federal Register notice, which is the first official notice of this, coming out very soon. And that will describe all of the steps that need to be taken and who's eligible to apply in the first tranche, and lay out those instructions. But I can say that we're doing these visas here in the United States. So the idea is for a visa to be mailed from the United States to us in Washington. We print the visa and process the visa, put it in the passport, and send it back to someone in the United States.
It'll go inside the country.
Yes. So that people don't have to go to either Mexico or Canada or back to India or anywhere to get that visa renewed. And that is something that will be laid out very clearly in this Federal Register notice that comes out in a few weeks.
Is it only for the work visas or even for family visas as well?
It's for work visas. This is an
visas.
existing regulation that was allowed, that we just haven't used in about 20 years. So these are work visas. It's intended for people who are living long-term in the U.S., but want to renew their visa without going back overseas.
Also wanted to ask you about the students' visa. India is now sending the largest number of students. It has overtaken China. What are the additional steps you are taking for better facilitating of issuing of a student's visa, both in India? Would it be included here as well, the domestic renewal visa program?
It's not open. The regulation does not allow it to be used for students at this point. But we've gotten this question quite a bit.
Right.
So as we expand the program, we will definitely think about students being able to do this without leaving the country. But for students who are applying in India, I'd say the biggest thing is that the missions there have worked 6-7 days a week to interview students to make sure that everyone can be interviewed before their classes start. And the amount of effort and importance that we place on Indian students coming to the U.S. Is borne out in the visa process. We want to make sure everyone has that chance.
There are some community organizations which always say that few things that complain about. One is issuing of emergencies visas for nearest dears from people who died there here and their family wants to come here. There's always a delay. It's not being issued. has this issue come to your notice, and if yes, what steps are being taken to speed up that process?
We do have an emergency visa process, of course, for a visitor who needs an appointment, who has to travel urgently. Usually, it's very clear on the website. You can write, and someone's checking this all through the day and the week to make sure that we're hitting people who are able to, who have an emergency and need to come in. To my knowledge, this has worked pretty well. I'm not aware of any problems that we've had with this. We take it very seriously because we don't want a long wait time to interfere with an important event or a medical case or something like this. So we're happy to take anything you've heard on that, but this is a very important process to bypass that line if necessary.
I wanted to ask you about the paperless visa, right? When would India be included in that?
That's a good question. I hope as soon as possible, but this is a long-term project that we've just now piloted for the first time. So I think we'll see widespread use of this, not for another year or so, or maybe longer.
How is it different from what India issues e-visa?
We don't call it an e-visa because we have the same visa process up to the point of the paper. So an interview is still required by law if you're a first-time applicant. You'll apply in the same way with the same forms. If you are getting a paperless visa, it will look all the same until the point where there's no paper. And that's the main difference between an e-visa, like in India, and this visa. But just the ability for people to renew their visa without a piece of paper means people can keep their passport. There'll be fewer problems with sending things through the mail. It just will have tremendous benefit to both the applicant and to us.
Do you expect any timeline, maybe 2025, when Indians can apply for paperless visa?
I hope so. I can't commit to anything. Well, I appreciate the question. We're very excited about it. We'll keep it going.
Every year, such a large number of Indians apply for visas. Any message to them when they apply for the visa? What are the things they should be aware of, or what are the precautions they need to take so that much better facilitated?
I would say at this point, anyone who is interested in traveling to the U.S. for any reason, apply as soon as possible. If you are traveling for work-related reasons, there's another special avenue to use. There's a special channel to use so that business-related visas are also prioritized. It's just, bear with us, I would say, as we get through this. India is unique because it represents the highest number of visas in several categories, not just visitors, not just students, not just maritime crew members, but high-skilled work. I mean, it's a tremendous demand across the board for us. So our priority is to get all of those wait times down.
Yeah, I have seen that there is also a long wait time in, for instance, smaller categories like religious visas. Priests coming here for temple services, there's huge, and there increased demand as well, right? So many temples being built.
Yes, exactly.
Built in this country. Anything else you like to talk about India? The last question.
I can say that, we had a state visit recently. Everyone from the president, of course, to Ambassador Garcetti, and the Secretary of State, is so committed to making sure that the people-to-people ties between our two countries expand, that we're carrying that out in the visa process. So we really expect more innovations and a much quicker process in the future.
One last thing. When do you think this wait period is going to come down? Next year or the year after?
I hope it'll be this year. Meaning this fiscal year for us. But we're sending huge numbers of officers to India to manage the wait time and moving them around the country as needed. It's gotten much better, but it still needs to come down quite a bit.